themselves from happening in public and strong public statements this week. But the clause is there. We can reveal that as a fact tonight. The clause is in that contract, as it was with Mark Thompson, who this time last year would have been a million to one to leave the contract that he had with Geelong. So there can be some space. There is interest in Ross Lyon. There's been no, as far as we can tell, formal approaches, but there is interest in Ross Lyon from the clubs that have coaches out of contract at the end of this year.
And Mick Nettlefold, the CEO of the Press, said that he had the full backing of the committee, so that should be comforting for him.
So for all intents and purposes, either Ross Lyon or the St Kilda Footy Club can say, listen, get to the end of this year, it's been great, but we think it's time to move on and there's nothing standing in either party's way.
That's how it stands. I mean, that would fly in the face of what they both said publicly. Guys, just on that, I mean, what do you make of Ross Lyon? Is he a coach who is suited to a club in a rebuild phase, which a lot of people now think St Kilda are, or is he better suited to the club that's having a crack?
No, I don't think you'd categorise him either way. It all will come back to the fire inside Ross and how keen he is to rebuild this footy club, because they are in a rebuilding process. I don't think there's, well, I personally don't think there's any doubt about that. Now, if he's got fire in the belly and he wants to go through the process, then he should stay and see out that contract, and halfway through next year you see exactly where they're at. But it's an interesting clause, and who knows, they may get to the end of the year and he might say, I can't take them any further. You see what happened at Geelong? Mark Thompson left, new young coach came in, reinvigorated a list that many people thought would just drop off the face of the earth. And now look at them, unbeaten after 7 games. So I think it's interesting times ahead for the St Kilda Footy Club.
To be fair, Damo, I'm not sure that Ross would be the only coach with a clause similar to that in his contract. I think now the modern ones, you know, want to have some room to move.
What about your man?
Not going to discuss that, mainly because I don't actually know.
No comment from the president.
No, I don't know the exact clause.
The
and even if I did, I wouldn't
details
be.
of your coach.
No, I don't know the exact clause and its relevance to Ross Lyon. But what I'm saying is, I'd be very surprised if 90% of coaches didn't have a similar contract in there.
Not sure the figures that high, JB. Yeah,
well,
it's a relatively
certainly
new
the recently
phenomenon.
signed ones.
Just people disputing that. Listen, Damo, what about you reported a month ago that Flying Start was about to be sold to a consortium led by Clinton Casey. Of course, Flying Start, the management company run by Ricky Nixon. That deal's gone through.
Yeah, it has, and it's going to be headed by Scott Lucas, a former Essendon player. Clyde Davenport of the Davenport Group is also a funder of the new process. Ricky Nixon, as we know, is now barred as being a manager. Scott Lucas was a former Ricky Nixon client. Winston Rouse, who worked for Flying Start, will be part of it, as will Rowan Smith, who will oversee the junior development side of it, the V squad. Nick Riewoldt and Nick D'Alessandro, big St Kilda names, unlikely at this stage to be part of the new group, Phoenix Management Group, unlikely to stay, but two big names who we think will stay are Dustin Martin and Jack Riewoldt. And today we caught up with Scott Lucas of Phoenix Management Group to ask him what it's all about.
Well, a unique opportunity was presented to me, working in player development and working with players at the AFL Players Association this year has grew my interest in assisting players, and to me it's building on that.
Ricky Nixon's company, it carries a bit of a stigma with it. Are you prepared for that stigma in the marketplace?
Oh, look, we're going to be valued and decided upon on how we present to players going forward and what we do going forward, so we're very much looking at that. I will say that Ricky in many ways was a trailblazer for the industry and did an enormous amount of good for many players, of which I was one. Hasn't gone as well the last year or two, which is clear, and we're aware of that. But look, Ricky's been a fine person to me, and leave it at that.
Nick Riewoldt's made some comments about Ricky and his involvement with Ricky. Do you think you'll be able to keep him?
Oh, look, we'd certainly like to chat with Nick going forward and present to him what we think we can offer him and go from there. But certainly there's a relationship between Ricky and Nick that has occurred that we need to deal with also.
Scott Lucas there, good luck in his new venture. Now, Damo, to finish off, one of the great news stories, feel-good stories of the AFL season's about to unfold on the weekend, providing a young man can get through one final training session.
Yeah, Max Bailey, Gary, is the guy in question. He's played 6 games since debuting in 2006. He's had 3 knee reconstructions. He's played, just as we said, 6 games. Hasn't played since round 22 of 2009. Tonight he's been named as an extended bench player in the Hawthorn team to play the Swans on Sunday. He is in the 22, provided he gets to a training session. It's as simple as that. There's one more match committee meeting to happen. They tick the boxes if he gets to the training session. So in the same draft, same first-round draft selection as Dale Thomas was, he's about to play his 120th match, Dale Thomas. Max Bailey's about to play his 7th, and this will be on the weekend on Sunday against the Swans, should he get through one more training session.
Unbelievable story. Max Bailey sitting at home. All the footy world wishes you the best. 3 knee reconstructions. Great story of resilience and perseverance and loyalty from the Hawthorn Footy Club. So to you, Max, well done. Damien Barrett, wonderful job by you, Damo. Excellent. Big news there. Let's head on to the next game. It involves Collingwood and they take on the Adelaide Crows.
Yeah, we have a look at the 90 Collingwood side, and there it is. Dale Thomas having a great year. Swan just warming into it. Shaw there, 109 Supercoach points. McCarthy, Keith, Beans, Maxwell, they all come in, and hopefully a Fiddleman interchange get across the line. We have a look at the Adelaide Crows, and Riley comes in, Cook, Walker. Dangerfield averaging 90 Supercoach points, kicked 6 goals last week, was on fire. Adelaide normally match up quite well against Collingwood, but I reckon after last week's loss, the Pies will have a little bit of fire in their belly and they'll get across Adelaide.
That's it, mate. Yeah, this weekend both teams are playing for the Westpac Cup. It's the second annual year the Westpac Cup's been around, and this year we're playing for the Life-Saving Victoria, and all proceeds from our football jumper that all the Collingwood players will be wearing will be sold and given to Life-Saving Victoria, which is a fantastic effort on the Westpac's behalf.
Nice job.
Yeah, I think Collingwood will win, but Clokey, you boys better put some time into Patrick Dangerfield because we didn't take him lightly. We know he's a great player, but he came up and kicked 6 against us last weekend. He's going to be a superstar. So it's his 50th game as well. So if you can shut him down, you can shut down Adelaide.
Is that the Dangerfield, the young boy from Melbourne, slung to the ground and got 3 weeks for?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he'd be a real worry, that lad.
So he nearly didn't play with concussion. He ended up playing and coming out and kicking 6. So
Battle of the Birds, Gary. I think the Maggies will peck the eyes out of the Crows.
I'm with you, Samuel. I think
Thanks,
Collingwood will
Gaz.
win. They've got a very, very good coach who's a lateral thinker, Jim.
Wow.
Yes.
And
He is.
we like him because he looks at things in a different
Diverse.
Yes, he's got a diverse outlook, and we particularly like his press conferences. I'm not going to say anything more. Just want you to sit back and
Figure this out.
make of this what you will.
Running from the ground to the coach's box is a piece of bread. 3 weeks ago it looked like someone had lost an ear. Today it looked like someone lost a finger. That's it. That bread's still there. It's still up on the... So I'll clearly clear our... brush our... or sweep our stairs internally.
Gold. That is gold. If that doesn't go around the world...
Now,
Trav, what did you make of that?
I thought it was great. I don't know. I don't know what you take of it, really. It's a bit of a mess, really. Something I would say, really.
there's a few people who have got the mental capacity to go there and try and work it out, Jim.
Exactly.
And there's
Go head-to-head with the great Mick.
only one man on this panel that could do that, so we got the force.
The old enforcer.
Mick goes on a walk, which around the Fitzroy Gardens most
Well,
mornings.
don't say which gardens, because he'll
All
be
right.
inundated by
Like a
imbeciles.
Fitzroy North
Gary.
Gardens.
Goes down into a park somewhere. Gee, you've just sprung him.
He just walks.
Botanical
Any
Gardens.
garden.
Yeah,
he
botanical
goes.
gardens,
So
that's-
we said, righto, Samuel, go down there and get to the bottom of that.
She was cold, nearly
So
too, was.
midweek, old Foss got out of bed. It was about 4 degrees. Have a look at the get-up that the Foss is wearing. That's another thing that you can sort out. And then have a listen to here, Mick. This is a different Mick Malthouse.
When you run down from the coach's box onto the ground, it's about 6 or 7 flights of stairs. So one of the coaches had a bad day. Clearly, one of the crusts was dropped partway down at quarter time.
I've listened to that.
5 or 6 weeks ago.
I've listened to your press conference several times. That is gold, Mick. I reckon it'll go around the world. I have not understood a word of it,
No,
but
I
I'm
don't think
here.
anyone does either. Anyway, in your thinking period when you're running from the coach's box to the ground, I thought that bit of bread, I got it wrong, because 3 weeks later I thought someone's actually lost a finger. It looked like someone's finger had been cut off.
I did it.
And 3 weeks later I thought that bit of bread that's now looked like a finger is no longer a finger. It looks like someone's ear had been chewed off.
He had been on medication previous to that, had you,
So
Mick?
I thought clearly the cleaner is very consistent.
I see. So it was about the standard of cleaning at the
Well,
MCG.
it wasn't really. It was just that I just had this thing. Why did that piece of bread finger come here attract my attention so much when I'm supposed to be thinking about football? So
I think that's cleared it up.
yeah, well, there you go. So I hope I've explained that better to you. I hope now that you're all over it. So I hope.
Oh, well, we're all across it, and so is everyone watching, and that's the explanation. So don't write it anymore. You've heard him what he said.
Yeah.
That's cleared it up.
There we are. Well, do you still get it?
No.
I've watched that twice now. I listened to his first explanation.
What's it mean?
I have no idea. No, I'm serious. And he's a marvellous man and he is the best.
He is.
I have no idea it was still what he's talking about.
Probably why. He's a genius. See, it's probably why. He
That's
works
right.
on a different plane.
4 degrees. Foss has got a polo shirt on, and that is how he rolls. Doesn't matter how cold it gets. What we did, Gary, is we let this vision roll on a little bit, and Sam and Mick walked on a little bit, and what we found out
Not
was
at the
that-
Fitzroy Gardens.
No, I wasn't there.
elsewhere.
Oh, God, no.
What we found out was
don't
that
say that.
Mick actually is a follower of modern culture, and he knew exactly what's been happening in the Foss's life, especially with some planking business. Have a look at this.
You can see.
Oh,
How'd you got to go a bit further?
hang on, I've got to put my hands by my side.
Go on in.
Let's just... That's I am planking. You've got to say I am planking. That's a plank.
That is planking. That's a bit safer than where.
I can't get down, Mick.
It's a bit safer than 40 floors up.
He's making me go mad.
Oh, making that man. Jeez.
There's and Mick's beautiful wife Nanette in the background,
Yeah.
so she got to see you plank as well.
She's very keen to be on camera, Nanette, yeah.
What are you doing planking, by the way? Through the week you did some planking, which I personally thought was ridiculous and irresponsible. What are you doing?
Well, I'll tell you what I was
Well,
doing.
this is
This
nothing
was
short
nothing
of
to-
ridiculous.
This was
40 stories up and you decide to do that. You're an impressionable... You make big impressions on people. What sort of example are you setting for the
Gary,
rest of
this wasn't for the television, and this
Oh,
wasn't.
really?
This
Oh,
was
no, it
this
just
was
happened to
for the
have one
radio
circling
station I
round your-
work for.
around your
Fall,
house.
fall.
TR.
No, just kidding, no. definitely
Could
not.
I just also say,
Well,
Gary?
hang on. Do you not think that was irresponsible?
Of course it was irresponsible.
Well, why did you
That was
do
the
it?
point. Do you have to be told you're irresponsible to know you're irresponsible? That's the point. We are told every minute of the day we live our lives. Don't drive quickly in the rain. Don't smoke cigarettes. Let's put them in green
Well,
packets.
don't have
Do
to
you
go and
have
do
to
it.
have it hammered into your
Why,
brain?
why did you do that?
It was my reverse psychology
It was
way of
stupid.
starting a safety
No, it was
campaign.
stupid. It was stupid.
Can I say this, Gary?
What?
You're sounding like Mick. That makes as much sense as his bread.
Well, he has infiltrated the back of my brain. Could I say this, Gary? I think there'll be a small spike in the audience viewing tonight because A Current Affair, which I think is on our station, isn't it?
Yes.
They did a terrific service for us. They gave us a bit of a boost. They showed all the highlights on one of their shows during the week. Me painting my face black, which they said was a disgrace, but they showed it. Shane pulling my pants down, which they said was a disgrace, but they showed it again. Me dressing up Caroline Wilson as a mannequin, which they said was a disgrace, but they showed it again. And they did something else, me throwing a pie in Davy Schwartz's face, which they said was really irresponsible.
Yes.
And then
What?
they showed that.
Right.
You know, said it was absolute disgrace. It was dangerous, irresponsible, stupid thing to do.
agree.
But showed it. And of course, I came down and Channel 7 had got the vision, not that we did it for the television, and I said, how did you go? Did you get it? And they said, no, we missed it. We were on the other side of the building. So I said, well, I'll do it again for you. So they still stayed there in the helicopter. And then they asked me, late in the evening, this is A Current Affair, to come on and discuss it. This is late in the early evening.
Right.
And I said, well, I'm sorry, I had a dinner engagement. So Tracy, lovely girl, Tracy Grimshaw, who was hosting Current Affair, she said, and Sam Newman couldn't come in because he said that he had a dinner engagement. She seemed to be mystified by the fact that I had a dinner engagement early in the evening.
you always
Maybe
go
it's
now.
because she hasn't had one for a while.
Now, Foss.
All they did.
Come on, Foss.
All they did is take the vision from National 9 News, which who didn't run it,
Yeah.
and made a whole feature out of it, giving me a nice bagging.
Well, never
And you
mind.
deserved it too. That
Well,
was just
I could have
stupid.
told them that before they
Absolute-
wasted some little...
Plankers are wankers.
Yeah,
I mean, you've
absolutely.
been doing a lot of
And I
planking
totally
lately.
agree.
All right, we're going to move on from planking and head to the SCG. On Sunday, the Swannies take on the Hawks. And they don't lose too many at the SCG. The Swannies beat